Many men wish they had them Mkhwanazi Dockets, especially Mr. Sibia. Politicians are panicking, 'cause Mkhwanazi will come and take their freedom away. Many men wish they had the Dockets, especially Mr. Sibia. Maybe even Mr. Matlala, 'cause Mkhwanazi will come and take their freedom away. Welcome to another episode of The Dissection. The infamous, the controversial, the hotly contested Dockets are returning to the political killings task team. They're going back home. It's coming home. The Dockets are going home. And this was announced by the National Police Commissioner yesterday. He also announced that Gauteng is going to get its own political killings task team. As things stand, the temperature is getting higher and higher. The chickens in the oven are feeling the heat. They're definitely feeling the heat. Here's what the National Police Commissioner said yesterday about the Dockets. Those 121 sweet Dockets. Here's what he said.
By nature, the dockets that are carried by the political task teams are not as simple. They are very complicated. It's not easy to investigate them. And so you really won't expect arrest soon in those dockets. They are quite complex. They vary from murder, attempted murder, intimidation. So, but in their nature, they are complex during the investigation. So I'm not expecting an arrest soon on those dockets. You remember the team was in the process of being closed down or wind down. There was that dispute. So currently, the team is going on with the investigation of cases in KwaZulu-Natal and, of course, also still assisting in Gauteng. We detected there's a shortage of investigators. So we will be beefing the team with extra investigators. In any way, we're going to open a team, a leg of political killing task team in Gauteng in the next 4 weeks or so. We have a number of unresolved cases in Gauteng that are murder of politicians and also tax-related that are quite complex. So we will be having such a team in Gauteng. And of course, we have a similar team, but not political killing task team, a team investigating tax-related murders in Eastern Cape, which that part of the team is also going to assist the Western Cape in the investigation of tax-related.
This in and of itself is a massive development in the story. Everybody has been wondering what's happening with these dockets. Are they compromised? The dockets contain the body of work of the political killings task team. They spend a lot of time on that. They accumulated a lot of specialized knowledge about the cases. They have the best knowledge on how to proceed, how to complete their investigations, where the gaps are. Part of what was illogical about the way Sibia argued about the dockets is because he almost made it seem as if they can be given to anybody at any given time. But handing over a docket, handing over complex criminal investigations to another detective will basically reset the clock and sometimes lead to inferior results, especially if there's been a lot of collaboration, a lot of information sharing within that particular team. And so the fact that they are back in the hands of the political killings task team in and of itself is a massive development. And I think it's something that should be welcome. It's also quite interesting that it's an affirmation of what General Mkhwanazi had said, because he said that the team was still operational. Remember that? And there were some disputes about, was the team disbanded in totality, or was the team still operational? I think we know for now that the team is still operational. We now have proof positive information that he was not lying in that respect. And we've also seen other forms of corroboration over the last few weeks since Fiasco Sunday, Conundrum Sunday, Crankum Sunday. We've seen that there's movement. So this development is a major win for the operational police forces in South Africa. It's a major win because you don't want to have politicians willy-nilly being able to come in and interfere, disband things irrationally, capriciously, unlawfully. You want to make sure that the operations are insulated from any political interference. And I think we're seeing that. The challenge, I think, or what irked Mkhwanazi and others is that it seemed as if Katiso Molefe as well as Vusi Matlala were able to access senior politicians and get this team disbanded. That's something that was always going to be alarming from a police perspective, to say, why are these politicians in it? Why are they so invested? Why are we now seeing some police officers now carrying out the mandate of these particular politicians? Think it's powerful now that the operational side is insulated and vindicated and capable to continue doing their job. And I think there are going to be some ministers who are restless now. Some ministers, the ones who are calling 100 times, the ones who are calling 10 times a day. I think there are people who are going to be restless now that the information is back in the hands of General Mkhwanazi. And if there were some people who are hoping that when he goes to Parliament or when he goes to the Judicial Commission, he's not going to have evidence. Ooh, it's not looking good for you, because now the dockets are back home. The dockets are back home. So there's going to be a lot more that he can adduce and attach in those different entities to show the veracity of his allegations, the probity of the case that they have against these people. And I think that's going to lead to more understanding and elucidation of public awareness of what's been happening with this particular issue overall. So the Mkhunu camp, the Begicele camp, I think right now they've taken major losses as a result of these dockets going back. However, there is a question that I think will be on everyone's mind, and that question is going to be, do these dockets still have the same integrity? Because they've been sitting in Pretoria for a long time. They were sitting on Sibia's desk for a long time. And it's very possible that the people whose names are in those dockets have been warned about the contents and the evidence against them. And typically when there are investigations, the reason why sometimes criminals are not or alleged perpetrators are not given bail is because you don't want them to interfere with investigations. You don't want them to intimidate witnesses, to buy witnesses, or anything to that effect. So if these dockets have been sitting for such a long time, it's very possible that certain key individuals now know what's in them, what they have against them, and are working at a rapid pace to try to deal and close loose ends, that kind of thing. So that's something that will be a concern in terms of those dockets. As things stand, we've come to understand much more about the workings of the syndicates in the criminal underworld, how they cross over into government contracts, how they cross over into having relationships with politicians and police officers. Everything that has happened since the 6th of July has been quite helpful. Hosh curry behavior, hosh curry culture has been exposed. We now know what we're looking at and what we're looking for. And inadvertently, or the unintended consequence of all of these politicians moving in the way that they did, is that this has really captured the public imagination in a way that it didn't when Mkhwanazi went and said those particular things to Parliament exclusively. So, new team for Gauteng, that's important, because we know that they seem to be 3 or 4 or so areas where these cartels are doing the most. Number one, we've got Gauteng being one of them. Number 2, then you've got KwaZulu-Natal, Durban. There's a lot happening there in terms of drug trade, and we know that drugs are arriving on those ports from Brazil. Some of them go missing. Things are peculiar there. And we also know Western Cape has featured a lot in the narratives about drugs, nightclubs, DJs. Prominent figures there also need to really face some scrutiny. So that's good. And Western Cape needs a lot of intervention, because the numbers gangs have been accepted as if they are the Table Mountain, as if they are part of the geography and topography of Cape Town. We talk about them as if it's a matter of course. Politicians can say, I used to be in the numbers gang. Now I'm a soccer team owner, blah, blah, blah. And we can just take it and say, yeah, well, good for you, Or politicians come back and say, hey, you don't know what I know, eh? Ons Bison, you don't know what I know. If I told you what I know, Ons Bison, you'd know, say, what's going on? I'll wear my second, close the circle, make the circle bigger. If you knew what man, we need to be quite honest about the fact that the continued existence of these thugs, their continued recruitment of young people, has been a cancer in the colored communities of the Western Cape. It has been a massive damage in those communities. The Cape Flats, we've seen Westbury, we've seen the other areas have been massively affected. There's a need for an intervention. So I'm hoping that the case study of the political killings task team can be extended even to the Western Cape, because we saw that other interventions have not led to change. Children are still being killed by stray bullets. People are being killed in crossfire. Communities are being destroyed by this gang activity. These numbers gangs are not part of the geography and topography of Cape Town. They are not featured on the maps on Google Maps. We need to stop acting as if they are permanent features that cannot be eradicated and removed. I mean, look at what has been done by that one South American president. I'm not saying that we should do it like that, not like Bukelele necessarily, but the interventions that are taken can be effective if they are targeted, directed, and serious. And there is a need for a Western Cape strategy that is much stronger than what's happened now. Now, I think it's important for us to just refresh our memory of 6 July and the allegations that were raised by Jerome Mkhwanazi, because now he has to show us the money. Now he has to show us the money. He has to move. He has to move. This is what he said on that day, that critical day.
Since the establishment of this political killings task team in July 2018, the team has been investigating a total of 612 case dockets. These case dockets include murders, attempted murders, intimidation, conspiracy to commit murders, and other cases. A total of 436 suspects were arrested and charged. 156 firearms were recovered, of which 55 of them were linked directly with a ballistically through forensic testing to the political related cases. An additional 35 suspects who are members of the South African Police Service were arrested. The notable one is the one who's now in prison, who's been working with the parliamentarian who was involved in the murder, about the murder of one Cindy Somakaro. A total of 128 accused were found guilty on 106 cases. 29 accused were sentenced to life in prison. 40 accused were sentenced between 10 to 35 years. 25 accused were sentenced between 1 to 9 years. 23 accused were sentenced between 3 to 12 months. So a total of sentences that is total number of years that has been given, if I add all of them, amounts to about 1,801 years of imprisonment. This is the work done by the team since 2018 to date that have led into the successful prosecution. On the 26th of March 2025, this year, a total of 121 case dockets that were under investigation were taken away from the task team as directed by a Deputy National Commissioner Crime Detection, a Lieutenant General Sibia, who was acting on the instruction of the Minister of Police to disband the team. This was done without the authority of the National Commissioner, nor I, as a Provincial Commissioner, was never informed. I, as a Provincial Commissioner, took a decision to deploy 10 members from this political killings task team to go and support this organized crime unit in Gauteng. I can tell South Africans that this decision is for the disbandment letter of this team, because they overstepped their mandate of only focusing in KZN. They went to support Gauteng organized crime unit with the dismantling of a criminal syndicate. And I can confirm before the South Africans today that the investigation which these members were involved with in Gauteng has unmasked the syndicate. And this syndicate involves, amongst others, politicians who are currently serving in parliament. The law enforcement officers include the members of the South African Police Service, the Metro Police, and correctional services. They include prosecutors in Gauteng province, the judiciary, And all these are controlled by the drug cartel, as well as business people in that province of Gauteng.
The ball is now back in his court. General Mkhwanazi now has the ball back in his court. His team now has everything that they need to exercise their duties. I know the National Commissioner said it's going to take time, but there was an indication that there were some dockets that they were ready to act on. Now he has to act. This was painted as urgent, exigent. Now it's time to bopingane bopa. Bopingani bopa. Bopa, bopa, bopa. That means arrest for my international audience. Arrest. It's time for arrest now. No more long talk. No long talk. Arrest everybody that needs to be arrested. Let's see a plethora of cases going to the courts. Let's see a plethora of individuals trying to get bail, being denied bail. Because these syndicates can't just be moving freely. This could be a critical moment where a massive blow is rendered unto organized crime in South Africa. As things stand, the parliamentary ad hoc committee chairperson has said that they're waiting for General Mkhwanazi to tell them when he's available. I think he must bopa, 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 and then go to that committee, because we've seen that there have been regulations passed now where people, if they self-incriminate in the Judicial Commission, they're not going to face any prison charges or anything like that. I don't think that's a good idea. That shows that there's a need to bopa. Bopa everybody, bruh. Anybody associated with this bopping gane bopa. Boppy Hosh bopa. Bopa Hosh Don father. Bopa, bopa, bopa everybody. Bopa everybody involved. I think the commission is going to be very diluted. It's going to be very protracted. It's going to take a very long time. People don't have time on the streets. Crime right now is ravaging communities. Bopa! Bopa them! The politicians and the police are really playing chess on this one. And we'll have to wait and see who ultimately gets to call checkmate. But this is a massive development in and of itself and is welcome. I'll meet you in the comments. What did you make of the announcement that the dockets are going home?